Hey, sports fans, PB&Z Sports Chaos. We're here on PGA weekend. And guess what? We're not going to talk golf right now, nor are we going to talk playoff hockey or basketball at the moment, because PB is very disturbed that his South Florida teams are about to get whitewashed. The Heat are going to lose in 5, and the Panthers are going to lose in 4. We'll talk about that later on. But we are going to talk about something that's been very interesting. A lot of people have been talking about this. We've waited. We want to see if the mud clears up a little bit. Quarterback Armageddon, we're calling it. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Carolina, San Fran, and Cleveland, because you know what? They may not have a definitive starter, right, PB?
Yeah, there's still so many things pending, so we don't know what's going to go on in Cleveland either. Obviously, they haven't made any moves with Baker yet, so.
And Deshaun's going through hearings or whatever, top secret level, high five, whatever you want to call it, means the NFL this week, so we don't know what's going on there. But let's talk about the one team that has a lot of mystery behind it because they don't know what they're going to do anymore. The Big Ben's not there anymore. Pittsburgh Steelers. They got Mason Rudolph on the roster. They traded for Mitchell Trubisky, and then they drafted Kenny Pickett, who you and I both thought was a good fit for that team. But is he the answer day one?
Right. So that's what we're debating today is who's going to be starting week one for these teams. And Pittsburgh is one of those battles that you're going to have in training camp, I think. And they drafted Kenny Pickett number 20 overall for a reason. So it really is going to come down to how he does in camp. And
PB, I'll just say this. Look at last year. 4 out of 5 guys drafted higher than 21 did not start, right? So just because you're drafted 21 doesn't make you the instant starter.
Right. And you got to look at Mitch Trubisky too. I mean, he in 10 games in 2020 that he played with Chicago, because last year he was the backup to Josh Allen in Buffalo. He didn't get much work, but he had in 10 games, he had 16 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. It's not bad, right? Not bad. He was 20th in QB rating, 93.5, and he was 21 in QBR at 53.8. So, I mean, he's not by any means he's not a bottom dweller like some of these other quarterbacks we've been talking about, like Sam Darnold and, even guys who are still getting starting jobs like Zach Wilson and other quarterbacks that are literally 30th, 31st, 32nd. So he's in that 20 range,
Well, he's a top 10. He's a top 10 draft pick. Was it 2017 or 16? I forget now.
Right. They traded up to get him ahead of Mahomes, right? He went ahead of Mahomes. So, I mean, I think with the receivers that they have in Pittsburgh and, they drafted some young receivers as well. George Pickens and Calvin Austin as well. I think there's some opportunity there for Trubisky, and he can run the football as well. Let's not forget, Mitch Trubisky was number 50 in the NFL in rushing in 2018 and 2019. He was 50th in the league in rushing. So he can run the ball too,
Correct. Right.
So I think it's Trubisky's job to lose there in Pittsburgh. I think Kenny Pickett's going to have a hell of a camp in order for him to take that job. Now,
let me ask you a question. Does that mean Mason Rudolph has no shot?
I don't think he does. No, I don't think he does. I mean, I really don't. I can't imagine it. Maybe someone gets hurt or something like that might put him back into the mix, but he could be cut. If he's going to be the third string, he's going to be cut. Is my thing. Now, the thing that's going against Trubisky is he didn't play at all last year. So he was on the bench the whole year behind Josh Allen. Is that going to make him a little rusty or whatever? He's on a new team. He's got to learn their system. There's some things there that are a little bit of negatives, but so does Pickett. He needs to learn the system too. So,
by the way, does Mitchell have bigger hands than Kenny Pickett?
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. But
all right, ladies, take that in consideration.
Yeah, right. So my prediction is Mitch Trubisky starts week 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm with you. I think so as well. I think Pickett drafted 21, but that was for next year, in my opinion. All right, let's move down south to hot Atlanta. What do you think down there? They got Marcus Mariota on the staff. They got him in the offseason. Felipe Franks, a former Florida draft out of Florida. I think he went to not the Dolphins, Tampa Bay for a year. And then they drafted Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati this year. What do you think there?
Yeah, and I actually drafted Desmond Ridder with the 4th pick in the 2nd round, so number 16 overall in my dynasty league. So I do like what I see out of Ritter. What I saw out of Ritter when he was at Cincinnati. This job is a little bit more up for grabs. I think Trubisky's pretty much cemented into that week 1 start. I'm leaning towards Mariota as your first day starter. I think he'll have a shorter leash than Trubisky will have in Pittsburgh. So he might get 2 or 3 games in, and if they're not starting off winning, and people picking Atlanta right now to be the worst team in the NFL, a lot of they're over in wins. It's like 4 or 5 or something like that. So not a lot of expectations there in Atlanta. They did draft Drake London as well. So you got to keep that in mind. They also have Kyle Pitts, obviously the number 1 tight from last year. There's a couple of good targets there. I think Mariota with his NFL experience is the guy here. 2018 is the last time he put up stats, though. 19 and 20 and 21. I don't think he's played in like 3 years or 4 years. So that's what's going to hurt him. He hasn't really been playing games. And last time he was eligible for stats in 2018, he played 14 games, threw 11 touchdowns, 8 picks, 53.2 QBR and a 92.3 rating. So he's not very, again, he's in that bottom third of a quarterback to begin with. But I think based on experience, he'll get the start week 1. But if Ritter goes nuts in the preseason and training camp, he might beat him out. Definitely has a better chance of beating him out, like I said, than Kenny Pickett does of beating out Trubisky.
I've got one thing to say. I think Desmond Ritter may be the potentially biggest failure of the 5 quarterbacks drafted early this year. That's just my feeling. And I say that for one reason only, PB. The Alabama game, which Alabama is as close to a pro college team as there is, and he absolutely looked lost playing against Alabama and their professional team. So having said that, unless he can mature enough and learn enough, I'm not so sure. By the way, I'm a big Mariota fan. He was a Heisman Trophy winner at Oregon. I don't think he's ever had great coaching ever in the NFL. I think with the right coaching, he might be all right. He'll be all right. I'm not so sure. In the long run, he won't be there. You're right about that. Mariota won't be the starter in 2 years from now in Atlanta for sure. I don't know if it's Desmond Ritter unless he can prove that he's matured enough and learn how to dissect the defense. That's all.
Right. And if they finish last, they get the number 1 pick next year, and the quarterback class next year should be better than this year's quarterback draft class.
Correct.
So they might move on from Desmond Ritter, like you said, very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I was high on him to the Alabama game, and then I saw that, and he was lost. He was like a little boy out there playing with the varsity.
Yeah, but if
I don't know.
But if he's physically talented and athletically talented, they might be able to coach him up and get over that kind of stuff. So
yeah. I mean, I see him as a Chad Pennington type, so we'll see.
All right.
Speaking of Chad Pennington, we're going to talk about the Carolina Panthers only because Chad Pennington's little junior brother, Sam Darnold, is the so-called starter at the moment. But they did draft Matt Corral, and they do have P.J. Walker on the staff. P.J. Walker, by the way, a little hint, he played for Matt Rule at Temple years back, so he has some familiarity with Matt's system.
Yeah.
Matt Corral, though, interesting. He's a guy, he reminds me a lot of Trubinsky because he can run. He's a runner, so I see a lot of Trubinsky in him, and he does have an arm. He can throw a deep ball, but he's erratic. So what do you think?
Yeah, and as we go down this list, I think the chances are better and better, right? So I don't think Pickett's got a chance over Trubisky to start day 1. I think Ritter has a slightly better chance than that. And I think now when we talk about Matt Corral, has even a better chance of potentially beating out Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold is a bottom dweller. This guy is 29th or 30th or 31st in the NFL in every single major statistic. I mean, his QB rating last year was a pathetic 33.2, and his rating was 71.9. I mean, he had 9 touchdown passes and 13 picks. I mean, this guy is just not. He's just not going to get it done. I think Matt.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. So, all right, he's a number 4 draft pick, if I'm not mistaken, out of Southern Cal, which is a pretty good university where he was a very good quarterback. He went to the New York Jets, where potentially you or I could play quarterback for them and just be as good as he was. And then he went to the Carolina Panthers, who were, not that good either. So at the end of the day, He's never been on a good team. I don't think he's ever had great coaching either. Definitely didn't have great coaching playing for Adam Gase in the Jets system. So I love to see Sam Darnold with, you know what? I would love to see him with Andy Reid for a year. That's all.
Yeah, I just don't have a lot of faith in this guy at all. I mean, like I said, chances are even better now that Matt Corral beats him out. But again, just because Matt Corral's a rookie, Sam Darnold's been in that system for a year. I think not. Sam Darnold does get the nod week 1, but his lease now is even shorter than Mariota's, right? So now we're talking a game or two. He goes out and throws 3 picks in week 1. You could see Corral coming in the very next week. I think he's going to be ready to play, and he's going to give him a real run for his money in training camp.
You know what? I think PJ Walker plays before he does.
All right. Oh, interesting. Okay.
All right, let's go to San Fran because this one is very intriguing. Jimmy G is still on the roster. He had that shoulder surgery. That's probably why he's still on the roster. But Jimmy G has a winning record in the NFL. He just gets the job done. I know he's a little injury prone, but at the end of the day, he's a professional quarterback, and you can win with him. What do you think? Trey Lance was drafted very high. They traded 3 number 1s, right? Is that what it was? Or 2 number 1s and 3 number 1s, I think, ultimately, right?
Yeah, to get up to number 3, to take him number 3 overall in last year's what was supposed to be one of the best QB classes in a while.
By the way, to draft a guy that came from the college that Carson Wentz, who you love, played at before him.
Yeah, not a Carson Wentz fan at all. Here we go. This is very interesting. I think Jimmy G, like you said, he's a consummate professional. He gets the job done. As long as he's, out of his surgery and playing well, I don't think there's any reason why they don't continue to start him and just see how the season goes, see how it progresses. They still have a solid team around them. They got a solid defense. This team can, they're one of those teams that can go, 12 win, 13 win teams. I could also see them winning 8 games, depending on how a lot of things unfold as the season goes on. But day one, I'm going to go with Jimmy G on this one. But at some point, they got to make a move. They can't keep both quarterbacks for too many more years, right?
Well, Green Bay kept Aaron Rodgers on the bench 3 years, right?
True. So, right. So, yeah, you could be in a situation where Trey Lance is behind him for a couple more years. Okay.
By the way, at the end of the day, it comes down to math. So Trey Lance is on a rookie contract. He's not making a ton. Jimmy G, although to trade him, everybody's all upset because of salary, but he doesn't make the money that like Aaron Rodgers or Dak Prescott. He only makes like $27-28 million. So if you think about the quarterback position in the salary cap era, where today your best guys are getting 37, if you got a guy making 5 and another guy making 27, that's 32. You can afford to keep both of them on the roster in theory, right?
Good point. Yeah. So maybe they do. Maybe they ride them both for another year at least and see how it unfolds. And Trey Lance is the type of guy that can come in too for those gadget plays and things like that as well. So they might do something with both, have him in games all the time.
I mean, physically, I get it. Physically, he's unbelievable. He's a stud. He's a physically fit guy, can run, everything like that. But Jimmy G's no slouch. People think he can't run. He's not Tom Brady running the ball. Jimmy G can move the ball a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
All right. The big one, the last one we got today, fans. What the heck is going to happen in Cleveland? By the way, Baker's still on the roster today, right?
Yeah, Baker's still on the roster. They got Jacoby Brissett, right?
And Joshua Dobbs, a pick out of Tennessee a few years back. He's been on the Pittsburgh roster in the past. A good backup, but they got 4 guys that are capable of taking snaps in the NFL right now on their roster.
Yeah. And I think they got to make a move. I mean, one of those quarterbacks, I still think Baker Mayfield will get dealt at some point because you have Jacoby Brissett who can – and they're waiting for the decision, right? They're going to wait for the decision of Deshaun Watson. In all likelihood, he's going to get suspended, probably 6 games, maybe some more. And then they're going to say, okay, we're going to name our starting quarterback for week 1. That's going to be, let's say it's Jacoby Brissett. And then they keep Dobbs as their third string.
He's the second string at that point in time, right?
And then they can deal Baker. I don't think they hold on to Baker to Jacoby and to Deshaun, unless Deshaun gets suspended for like the whole year or something like that.
So you think they could, let me ask you a question. Could they keep Baker right now till the end of the decision, or do they have to get rid of him to save the locker room?
We don't know when the decision is going to be made. We thought there was going to be something coming down this week because they were meeting with the player, and usually when they meet with the player, that's like decision time. So there's too many variables in that situation right now. If let's just say for the sake of argument, he wasn't suspended at all. He's starting week 1, and then Baker's done. He's getting dealt. There's no question about it. Where the challenge comes in is that suspension. How long is it for? And if they're really in it to win it this year, they got to navigate through those first 6 weeks or 8 weeks to be able to get to Deshaun, right?
By the way, if Deshaun doesn't get suspended, this is going to be a public outcry like you've never seen before.
Oh my God. Imagine like Tom Brady getting suspended 4 games for deflating a ball. And
supposedly deflating a ball. There's no actual evidence of it, but supposedly deflating a ball, right?
Right. And you got a guy who's got 23 civil lawsuits against him for sexual harassment, and he's going to not get suspended or get suspended for less than the 4 games. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, he has to go. It has to be. And by the way, I think it's going to be at least 6, probably 8 at minimum, don't you think?
That's what I'm thinking.
What did Calvin Ridley get for gambling on another team when he was injured? He got a year, right?
Yeah. So you're right. I mean, and those, this is a serious. These are serious accusations. So even if they don't find him guilty, the NFL can still say he violated the behavior policy or whatever it is, the conduct policy.
All right. So real quick before we wrap it up, Baker Mayfield, he's going to be gone at some point in time. Where do you think he goes?
I think the most sense right now is Seattle.
Everybody says that, but they're not making the move. I got a funny feeling they're not going to do it. I think he goes someplace else. He sits on the bench. So if he doesn't go to Seattle, where does he go and sit on the bench?
Man, I don't know what's good fit. I mean, there's a lot. Washington?
That's what I was going to say. It's got to be the Commanders, don't you think? Because behind your boy, Carson Wentz, he's more likely to start there, right? At the end of the day. We'll see. All right. Good quarterback Armageddon conversation, PB. And by the way, do you have any prayers to say for your Panthers or your Heat?
Well, first of all, let's set the record straight, right? I am still a Bruins fan. I'm still a Celtics fan. I want the Celtics to win. My heart's with the Celtics. My mind was with Miami. I bet Miami. I picked Miami since the very beginning, so I'm just sticking with what I said. You know,
picked both teams. You picked the Panthers to win the Cup, and you picked Miami to win the NBA.
And then and they're both right there, right? So the Panthers, I think.
I guess they're right there. If you say 0-2 at home.
At home, going down 0-2 is tough. It's tough, but they can't even split. They can't even split in Tampa because if they do, they still got to win 3 straight.
Hey, I got 3 math things for you.
I got
3 math things for you. See if you can tell me what these are. 9-0, 0-5, 0-7.
Well, the 9-0 is probably like the record for a team being up 2-0 in a series.
It's the Lightning when they're up 2-0.
Okay.
0-5 is when the Panthers are down 0-2. 0-7 is where they're down multiple games in a series.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough road. They got to sweep. They got to go to Tampa and sweep and get the series even again with home ice back on your side. Even if they go up there and split and they're down 3-1, they got to win 3 in a row. I don't see that happening. Lightning are resilient, and Vasilevsky, come playoff time, I don't know why, even in our pool, nobody took the Lightning to win the Cup. Like, they already won 2 in a row. They've shown that they can do it. They got the playoff experience, but yet no one believed in them this year. And here they are on the doorstep once again.
It's just so hard to win that many in a row, though. You know that. I mean, the last team to win more than 2 was the Islanders, right? Oh, yeah, no, Edmonton, I think, right? In the 90s?
It was Islanders or Edmonton, right in that same time frame, but yeah.
Mid-80s, early 90s. Yeah. So there you go. All right, we'll see. I think it's over by the 25th, next Wednesday for both teams, Heat and the Panthers.
Yeah, Celtics look great. They look really good yesterday in game 2.
They did. All right, man. Good conversation. Good quarterback. Armageddon, right? TB12. Yes, sir. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.